anything else. She just turned on FaceTime and showed me a pregnancy test with 2 pink lines. It was hers. I gasped. Lily, I'm pregnant. I don't want to tell mom and dad yet because, well, you know how they can be, but I don't want you to be home when they find out. I thought back to the time when Kate came home with a hickey. My parents shouted at me for almost an hour, telling me how bad of an influence I was, how it was all my fault. So I understood. Kate, what can I do to help? I asked. She told me to ask for her help from our Aunt Bonnie. Suddenly, I could hear my parents walking up the stairs singing happy birthday, so I hung up. My mind was spinning. A part of me was relieved that Kate was still my best friend, but mostly, I was just worried, very worried. And when I got to my Aunt Bonnie's, my stomach twisted into a pretzel knot because she opened the door, gave me a huge smile, and hugged me super tight. I'm so happy you visited. I never told her what had happened, and clearly my parents didn't either. We were in the middle of polite introductory small talk when I just blurted it out. My parents are racist and my sister is pregnant. The second I said it, she laughed, thinking it was some sort of joke. And that's when I started bawling my eyes out. By this point, we had already taken in the boxes, so we went inside and she listened while I talked. I made her promise not to tell my parents, and she swore she wouldn't. The next hour consisted of me completely unloading everything. The racism, the favoritism, getting kicked out. She promised I would be safe with her, and held me while I cried myself to sleep. I didn't know it at the time, but Aunt Bonnie was about to make my parents pay. Me and Kate's lives were about to change forever. When I woke up the next morning on Aunt Bonnie's couch, I had that brief moment of confusion where I didn't know where I was. Then it all came rushing back. Getting kicked out, Kate's pregnancy, everything. My eyes felt swollen from crying, and my back hurt from sleeping in a weird position. I checked my phone. 3 missed calls from Kate, but nothing from my parents. Not surprising, but it still stung. I could hear Aunt Bonnie in the kitchen making breakfast. The smell of bacon and eggs filled the apartment. My stomach growled loudly. I hadn't eaten since lunch the day before. "Good morning, sleepyhead," Aunt Bonnie said when I shuffled into the kitchen. She looked like she'd been up for hours already. "I made you some breakfast. Eat up. We've got a lot to talk about." I sat down at her small kitchen table and started eating. The food was amazing. Or maybe I was just starving. Either way, I practically inhaled it while Aunt Bonnie sat across from me, sipping her coffee. "I've been thinking about everything you told me," she said after I'd eaten about half my plate. "And I need to ask you something important. Has your dad ever hit you?" I almost choked on my orange juice. Nobody had ever asked me that directly before. "Not like, punched me or anything," I mumbled. "Just some slaps, pinches, that kind of stuff." Aunt Bonnie's face darkened. "That's still abuse, Lily. And the emotional stuff? The way they treat you differently from Kate? That's abuse too." I just stared at my plate. When someone actually says it out loud like that, it hits different. I'd always known something was wrong with how my parents treated me, but hearing someone call it abuse made me feel both validated and weirdly ashamed. "I'm calling your parents after breakfast," she continued. "First, to tell them you're staying with me for now. Second, to let them know I'm aware of how they've been treating you." My heart started racing. "But what about Kate? If you tell them you know everything, they'll realize I told you about the pregnancy." "I won't mention the pregnancy," Aunt Bonnie assured me. "That's Kate's news to share when she's ready. But the rest, they need to hear it." After breakfast, I called Kate back while Aunt Bonnie cleaned up. Kate answered immediately, sounding stressed out of her mind. "Are you okay? Where are you? Did Aunt Bonnie let you stay?" The questions came rapid fire. I told her I was fine and staying at Aunt Bonnie's place. She sounded relieved, but still anxious. I asked how she was doing and if our parents suspected anything. "They don't suspect a thing," Kate said. "They're too busy redecorating my room now that it's all mine." She sounded guilty saying it. "Lily, I'm so sorry. I should have found another way. I wasn't completely over being hurt, but I understood why she did it."